The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions, and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. It's Monday night right here on Armed Radio. You're listening to Two Beards Talking. I'm Daniel Sanders.
And I'm DonnieJ.
And it was a spectacular weekend.
Not really.
It was. But before we get into that, as we always do right here, we always give a big shout out to the troops, men and women serving overseas and on the home front. We appreciate everything you're doing. Keep up the good work. Come home safe. Everybody back home's rooting for you. Iron Bowl.
Yeah. You know, when it happened this weekend, I knew I'm going to have to deal with this on Monday night.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent, Smithers.
See, Daniel's a diehard Auburn fan, and, you know, I've been a Crimson Tide fan since I was old enough to say, whoa, Tide. So it was a great weekend for Daniel and not so much for me.
Yes, it was. It was a great weekend all around for football, I think. You know, like I was saying on the last show, you know, Georgia Tech had to Georgia had to beat Georgia Tech in spectacular fashion to prove that they belong in the playoffs, and I'd say they did.
I'd say they did.
The fight that occurred between Pickens and Georgia Tech's player, not so much.
No,
that was wasn't a bright move.
No, it wasn't a bright move. But you know, it's a very heated moment. It
is.
Shouldn't have been though, not for Georgia anyway. I mean, they knew that they were going to handle them in short order.
Yes, and you know the thing I don't get, baseball. You know, pitcher throws a wild pitch, almost takes the batter's head off. Batter gets pissed. He throws his bat on the ground or doesn't,
and charges the mound.
Runs up to the mound and starts pummeling the pitcher in the face. Well, makes sense because the pitcher's not wearing a helmet.
Right. Why would you hit a football player with that big helmet on?
I saw Pickens land at least 4 or 5 blows to the side of this guy's head with his fist.
And it's like, are you an idiot? Do you want a fractured hand? Do you want to be taken out of the game? I mean,
that's how you get a fractured hand.
Yes, exactly.
Now, you know, good on him, but also not good on him for doing it, but good on him for doing it. Grabbing him by the face mask and then throwing him head first into the wall, that was, you know, if you're going to do it, that's the way to do it.
Right. Especially if you're in full pads. You're in full pads, you got full helmet on. I mean, you got that's not a big deal. But all that aside, I thought it shows a lack of discipline and a lack of class.
Yes, absolutely.
Almost as bad as running up to the goalpost and doing the dirty dog.
Oh, fucking Egg Bowl.
Mississippi State. I mean,
you know, I was watching that game and I was pulling for Ole Miss.
Ole Miss
There at the end. I really was. And I kept saying, they're going to put it in the end zone, and they're going to go for 2. They don't want to go to overtime. They're in it to win it, all or nothing. And bam, they get the touchdown. Here it comes. They're going to go for it. 2-point conversion. Unsportsmanlike conduct, motherfucker.
Yep. And you know, it's when the kid did that. I mean, you got to look at it one thing. He is a kid, right? But
yes.
You're also an athlete. You've been doing this for a long time, and you know what's going to happen. You know that they're going to call unsportsmanlike conduct on you. Why do you do this? You know, you can say it's the heat of the moment, just like a fight. But I mean, that was premeditated. Hey, I just scored a touchdown, so now I'm going to be an idiot, and I'm going to cost my team the game.
Which, in the long run, it did, because now you're pushed back to, what is it, the 18-yard line?
And now you can't go for 2.
No, you can't.
You know.
You cannot go for 2. You have to kick the field goal. You have to tie it up and go to overtime, and the kicker chokes.
Yeah, well, I know a little bit about the kicker choking. So
yeah, a lot of Alabama people, too.
Yes.
But we're going to get into that in just a second.
Do we have to?
Okay. Oh, we do.
Of course.
We sure do.
The torture continues.
So the rankings as they stand right now, the top 4 have not changed. It's still LSU at number 1, Ohio State at 2, Clemson at 3, Georgia at 4.
Right. 5 and 6 have changed.
5 and 6 have changed, yes. Alabama was at number 5. And, of course, they lost to Auburn this weekend. That has dropped them back to number 9. Auburn was sitting at number 15 and has now moved up to number 11.
Do you know what I think is going to happen? And it's really kind of I don't know if it's going to happen. What I think could happen. And bear with me here. We got Georgia, which plays LSU for the SEC championship, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think pretty much everybody has got LSU favored in that game.
Yes.
But don't rule Kirby Smart out. I mean, because he's got a bag of tricks, and he's great defensive coordinator for Alabama, and don't rule him out. He's not dead yet. But that said, LSU is just really strong.
They are.
I mean, and they got Burrows is he's got a cannon for an arm. I mean, he can hit everybody on the numbers anywhere. He can. I mean, he's just a phenomenal quarterback, which is why he's in the lead for the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah.
That said, let's say Georgia loses, or let's say LSU loses. One of those two. Then you've got 5 and 6, which are on the outside looking in, and Oklahoma has had a stronger schedule than Utah.
Yes.
And the committee could say, let's move Oklahoma up into position number 4.
Yes. Now, on the flip side of that coin, Oklahoma could lose their conference championship. Utah could beat Oregon in their conference championship. And then Georgia loses, or any of the top 4 loses.
And it's a total shakeup.
It is. Now you could see a Utah team in the playoff running.
Mm-hmm. I don't think Clemson's going anywhere. I don't think Ohio State's going anywhere. I think it's because Ohio State's not going to lose, Clemson's not going to lose. LSU, Georgia, yeah, I think that's the key right there. And like I said, if you see LSU losing, if Georgia loses, definitely Utah or Oklahoma one are going to get in. But if LSU loses, I mean, there's no way stopping it. The committee's got to look at the schedules. They've got to look at the strength of the teams and the teams that they've played. And I think you're going to see a shakeup with Oklahoma or Utah or both in the top 4.
Very possible.
One thing is certain. We won't be seeing the Crimson Tide. They'll be the only way they're going to the national championships is if they got tickets this year. So, and it pains me greatly to say that. As a diehard, I'm a Crimson Tide fan my whole life, and I watched the game, and I'm starting to think. I've only seen 2 games this year that I've actually sat down and watched, and Alabama lost both of them. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking in the future, next year, I'm not going to watch any Alabama games. I'll watch it on the computer from the control room when I'm on the air, or I'll catch the highlights on SportsCenter. But I'm not going to watch the game because every time I watch the damn game, we lose.
Watch the game, just don't watch the game when they're playing against somebody whose mascot is a tiger.
Oh, man. And the drudging continues.
Oh man, yeah.
Crimson Tide and Tigers. We don't have a we don't have a good relationship with the Tigers,
especially not this year. So, what
does this portend for Auburn now? They've moved up. They're at 11.
Yes, they've moved up to number 11.
So they definitely got a bowl game.
And a good bowl game at that.
Yeah, I mean it's not going to be a toilet bowl or a peach pit bowl or some crap like that. It's going to be a good.
It's going to be like a cereal bowl,
right? Cereal bowl, yeah. Kellogg's, you think? Alabama, I'm looking probably a Sugar Bowl. We're looking at the Sugar Bowl, Orange Bowl, maybe something like that.
Maybe,
I don't know. I'm still shocked. Like I said last week, we had one chance,
mm-hmm.
and there was a lot of ifs that had to happen, and none of them happened.
Oh, yeah.
Not a damn thing happened that had to happen.
Which, of course, as you'll recall, I don't think I said it on there, but I know we did discuss it. My prediction was Auburn would win by 3.
Yeah, and they did.
And they did. Everybody else, all of the Alabama fans, Auburn, there's no chance in hell Auburn's going to win. Alabama's going to run away with it. They've never met a team like Alabama, blah, blah, blah.
I never said that.
No, I didn't say you did. I never said you did. But Alabama fans in general.
I know. Smack talking.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
Yeah. Which it happens. I know it does. And it continues after the game, kind of like the picture that I sent you a little while ago showed Joe Bulovas, number 97 for Alabama.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell my kids
that this was Ray Finkel.
That's terrible.
You know, if you're an Alabama fan, if you're not, I don't care.
You know, I feel sorry for Jay Bulovas. Did you see the really classy letter that he wrote, an open letter online, apologizing for the game and promising that he would get better and he would work to improve? And I mean, it was really classy, an apology to Alabama Crimson Tide fans. Because we've struggled with special teams. Our kicking game has struggled for years. And I don't understand that. Nick Saban can recruit the best quarterbacks, the best defensive ends, the best tackles in the 5-star recruits, but we can't get a damn kicker. What is up with that? What the hell? I don't understand. What is it?
That was another one that I saw. It was a picture of Adam Sandler as the water boy, and it said, "Mama said Alabama got all them 5 stars, but no kicker."
That's the truth. That's exactly the truth. I mean, why can't we get a decent kicker? It stymies me to this day.
And this game was a prime example of how important special teams is.
Exactly. Because the special teams would have, pardon the pun, turned the tide.
Yeah.
It would have been the difference. It would have been, but for the Jay Bulovas kick. But for any number of things. But for the 13 penalties that we had. I mean, we shot ourselves in the foot. We shot ourselves in the ass. We shot ourselves 3 times in the back of the head. Yeah. I mean, we did everything. We gave the game away.
You Clinton suicided yourself?
Pretty much. I was looking in the stands for Hillary. I mean, damn, did somebody on the Crimson Tide have something on Hillary? I don't know, It was really terrible. But we killed ourselves. And what disturbs me greatly is, and you can't deny this, the Bama haters out there. When you're number one and you've been number one, they hate you. And they continue to hate you. As Clemson's finding out right now. They've been number one. They've been at the top for years. They've national championships, and now people are hating on Clemson. It's just the nature of the beast. Mm-hmm. But what kills me is people saying that the dynasty is over, that our era of dominance is over. Please, keep that up. Keep saying that. Keep writing that. Keep doing that. And let Nick Saban keep reading this, okay? Because, folks, it just pisses him off. It's like the Tennessee coach about 6 years ago. I forget who it was. Fulmer, I think it was. I'm not sure. But the head football coach for Tennessee. This was, I believe it might have been 2011. 2013, somewhere along in there. It was one of those years when Alabama won the national championship, and we were just, every score was like 63 to 3 or something like that. And we played Tennessee, which we always do, and in what was it, in November 2nd, I think, first weekend in November,
something like that, yeah.
Something like that. And we had run the table on every team up until then. No team had scored on us. Tennessee scored first. And it shocked everybody. Rocky Top was rocking. Everybody was, oh, my God, Tennessee has scored first on the Crimson Tide. And nobody had scored first on the Crimson Tide for, I think 18 consecutive games. And they scored first. And that was the last time they scored. Alabama proceeded to trounce them, I think, 67-7 or something like that. It was terrible. And after the game, they asked the coach, they said, well, you scored first on Alabama. Did you take anything away from scoring first on them? He said, yeah, don't score first on them. It really pisses them off. And, that's kind of the way it's been. And people have expected that dominance from the Crimson Tide. And when you set the bar, we had a 2-loss season, okay? Now, there are about 131 other programs in the country that would love to have a 2-loss season. Ask any other coaches. I only lost 2 games this year, and we're going to a bowl game. Hell yeah. It's a good year. We had a good season. I'm getting my contract renewed. But at Alabama, a 2-loss, losing 2 games in a season is terrible. But the bar has been set so high.
Yeah.
Our standards are so high that this is unacceptable. And it shouldn't be, because you can't win them all.
Yeah. And I remember I saw something today on Facebook. It was a screenshot somebody shared from Twitter where the guy was saying, I remember a time when Alabama was so horrible that they lost to Louisiana Monroe.
This is true. I believe Shula was the coach.
I believe so, yes.
Yes.
99, I think it was.
Don Shula's son,
Yeah.
was a coach. And
Mike Shula.
Mike Shula. And, it was really bad. I mean, we had to suffer through Mike Shula. We had to suffer through, was Francione. We had to suffer through some terrible coaches, some terrible times. And just, I remember watching Crimson Tide football. I was really excited in '93 when, we won the national championship from Miami. That was a great game. It was I was thrilled to death. And then after that, nothing, and it's just, we've gotten so used. There's a whole generation of kids today. I mean, it started in 2006. That's when Nick Saban came to Alabama. Mm-hmm. And since then, with a couple of exceptions, Alabama has dominated.
Oh, yeah.
A 2-loss season, a 3-loss season, only a couple of those. For the most part, we've run the table.
Yeah. And
it really kills me to see, I call them the bandwagon people. You're not really a Crimson Tide fan. You're a fair weather fan. You're on the bandwagon, and when the wagon leaves, you jump off of it. And it really pisses me off. If you're a true Crimson Tide fan, this is just, it's a blip on the radar. It's an aberration. You got to have faith because Nick Saban and Paul Feinbaum, what the fuck is his problem? I mean, is he just fishing for listeners? Is that what he's doing?
I think he is. I honestly think.
I mean, come on, man.
I honestly think, I don't know the woman's name, but this woman calls into his show all the time.
The crazy redneck lady?
Yes. She calls into his show all the time. Anytime he even mentions Alabama, even if it's in a good light, Alabama's having a good season this year, she'll call in, Alabama's the best college football team out there, always has been, always will be. We got Bear Bryant, we got Nick Saban as Bear Bryant reborn. He's going to be better. Just, she goes off.
But Paul, I mean, he's one of the ones that's coming on board and saying the era of dominance is over. Nick Saban may be, on his way out. Bullshit. He's got, 5 years left on his contract probably. He's making $6, $7, $8 million a year. Why in the hell would you go anywhere?
I think he's got more than 5 years left on his contract. I think he's got, Nick, you stay as long as you want.
Really? You want an extension this year? Let's do it. You want 5? You want a 10-year extension? I think he's, he's a Crimson Tide for life if he wants to. Okay. I think he could lose 5 games next season and still not go anywhere. Of course, you'd hear the faithful screaming and yelling, "What's going on? What are you doing down in Tuscaloosa?"
Yeah.
But I don't think it's really going to hurt. I don't think this is going to hurt his recruiting at all.
Oh no.
Because right now, the second stringers right now are going to work over the next year. They're going to work all the way up until spring. For those of you who don't know, Nick Saban is one of these guys. Every year that he's won the national championship, he says, we'll enjoy it for 24 hours. For 24 hours, he relaxes, he enjoys. Yes, he revels in the fact that he's a national champion. And then the next day, he's right back at work. You can bet that right now Nick Saban is right back at work. Well, he's preparing. He's preparing for the next game, which is going to be a bowl game, whatever it is, Orange Bowl, Sugar Bowl, Fiesta Bowl. It won't be Fiesta Bowl, but whatever. He's preparing for the bowl game, but he's also looking to next season.
Oh yeah,
and what he's going to do. And here's another question. I mean, it's an outside shot, and I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm wishing, I guess. Tua Tagovailoa still has a year left.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's 99.9% chance he's going to rehab and then go to the NFL draft. But let's say his rehab is not moving quite apace, okay? It's going to take him a little bit more time. Rather than declare for the NFL draft, he might not be healthy enough for the combines. But if he stayed and went another year at Alabama, he would have more time to prepare, more time to rehab, and he could come back for his senior year at the capstone.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a 2020 season with Tua back at the helm, everything just changed.
Oh, yeah. Now,
Mac Jones did a great job. Don't get me wrong.
He did. Absolutely.
And I think he would be great next year. But if Tua is healthy and if Tua wanted to come back, that would be phenomenal.
Yeah, for a backup quarterback who was only starting his third time this season.
And the third time he started was on the road at Jordan-Hare.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Against one of the best defenses in the nation.
No, there was no pressure. None whatsoever.
None whatsoever.
No, just another game, just another Saturday, Mac.
26 of 39, 26 completions out of 39 attempts for 335 yards with 4 touchdowns.
In Jordan-Hare Stadium.
Technically 6 touchdowns if you count the 2 pick sixes.
Right. Jordan-Hare Stadium is one of those – it's one of those places where Crimson Tide dreams sometimes go to die, and it really pisses me off. I mean, it does. It's like weird shit happens at Jordan-Hare Stadium. The kick six, the
miracle at Jordan-Hare.
Yeah, just all these things. I'm just like only there. And the funny thing is, if we beat Auburn, it's another Saturday. We beat Auburn. But if you guys beat us, you storm the field like you want the damn national championship. Did you see and the women getting stuck in the hedges?
Yes.
I love Facebook was alight with all those memes. But all that aside, I mean, you guys storm the field, tear down the goalposts because you beat Alabama. And if we beat Auburn, it's another Saturday. Next game is where SEC championship or whatever. It's next. It's next for us. For y'all, it's yay, we beat Bama.
Well, I was reading something just a little bit before we came on. They say, well, why do y'all storm the field at Jordan-Hare? Well, we stormed the field for Rod Bramblett and his wife Pamela and their children. We stormed the field for Anaya Blanchard, the student who was kidnapped, and then they found her remains over in Georgia. Right. The officers and EMS and firefighters, 23 officers, I think, injured and killed in Auburn this year.
Right.
That's why they stormed the field.
Okay. Good explanation.
But now here's this.
But also because they beat Alabama.
Well, that too. Now, this as we've said in the past, the Iron Bowl is you throw everything out that's happened the rest of the season when you get to the Iron Bowl.
Yeah.
None of that matters. It is a totally different ball game.
Mm-hmm.
13 penalties for Alabama.
Yes.
The most under Nick Saban since he became the head coach.
And the most, not just the most this year, but the most since he's been head coach.
The most since he has been head coach.
As I said at the beginning of our broadcast, it's like we shot ourselves in the back of the head 3 times, and in the foot, and in the ass, and everywhere else that you wanted to shoot you. I mean, we killed ourselves. But for those penalties, but for a kick, what would the score be?
Who knows?
What I can postulate. I can say, it would be, Alabama 54, Auburn 35, or something like that. But you really don't know that because
you don't.
Like I said, Jordan-Hare Stadium is one of those places, and if you're an Auburn fan, so is Bryant-Denny Stadium. Until you walk into this cathedral of college football, you really don't know what it's like. I mean, I've just been in the stands at Bryant-Denny and the stands at Jordan-Hare. I can't imagine what it's like down on the field, looking up, listening to 103,000 screaming, rabid fans. Half of them are cheering for you. Half of them want to rip your throat out, and like I said, Mac Jones had no pressure at all. None whatsoever. Third game starting on the road at Jordan-Hare, the Iron Bowl, piece of cake. Said no Crimson Tide player ever. I mean, even Tua Tagovailoa. Well, I mean, he in an interview last year, he said, this, they were talking about how great he'd been doing and blah blah. It's like, you don't understand. This is a different game. This is a different animal. It's a different beast, and it's a beast that will eat you.
Yes.
And great quarterbacks screw up there. Great running backs can't find their legs.
Great coaches make bad decisions.
Kickers can't find the field goal all throughout the season, but they definitely can't find the field goal, the last Saturday in November.
I heard they narrow the goalposts a little bit more when Alabama comes in.
I think y'all do. I really do. I think you narrow the goalposts, and I think the field's a little bit longer too. I'm not sure about that, but
now I have this article here from ESPN. And the headline was what caught my attention because I've never known Nick Saban really to be a whiner. But in this article, he's whining a little bit.
Well, we'll get to that. But He has whined, and I was there. My daughter Caitlin and I went to see Alabama and Arkansas several years ago. I think it was 2013, 2014, when or maybe 2015, when he beat, as we usually do, Arkansas. And in the fourth quarter, we were up like 54-0, and the student section started leaving, and Saban got pissed. After the game, he went on a rant.
Yes, I remember
We give
that.
you those tickets at a discount price, and we can take them back, and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, whoa. Nobody leaves early anymore after that, by the way. But student sections don't anyway. But that said, yes.
So there were a couple of instances that happened in the game that old Nicky was not happy with.
Ripping the headset off? Yeah.
Using some choice language on national television.
I didn't see that.
Oh, yes.
I didn't see that. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, yes. Some very choice language that, Stevie Wonder could have read his lips.
Yeah, I was watching that. I thought to myself, not just lip readers, but everybody. Little kids are going, "Mommy, he said a bad word." Yes,
Yep.
he sure did. But the funny thing I thought was there's a Facebook meme of him doing the press conference afterwards. And I mean, his hairline has gone back to about the middle of his head, and it said something about him ripping his headphones off. How many pairs of headphones, sets of headphones? I'm sure that if you're the tech guy for the Crimson Tide, you have like a box full of headsets. So, yep, Coach, did Coach break another one? Yep, he broke another one. All right, get over here, yeah, it's it, yep, he broke another one. Get that one over here, yeah.
So the headline says, unfair end-of-game penalty among Nick Saban's gripes with Iron Bowl officiating.
Well, it wasn't fair.
Oh, all right. So it says, Alabama coach Nick Saban was critical of the officiating during Saturday's 48-45 loss on the road at Auburn, pointing to a penalty in the game's final seconds as well as a decision before halftime to put 1 second back on the clock that allowed the Tigers to kick a field goal. Saban called it, quote, unfair that his team was given a penalty for too many men on the field on 4th and 4 that gave Auburn a first down and effectively ended the game. 12 men on the field. I don't care who you are. That's an illegal substitution.
Yes.
That's a 5-yard penalty. And if it's 4th and 4, it's going to be first down.
Yep.
So it's not unfair. Now, here's what he says. I really feel that it was a pretty unfair play at the end of the game. They substituted the punter as a wide receiver, so we put the punt team in.
Right.
And then when the quarterback was still in there, we tried to put the defense back in. I thought they should have given us a little more time to substitute and get Jalen Waddle out as a returner. We got called for 12 guys on the field, so that was very disappointing. Well, trick plays happen.
They do.
And we're not talking about the fumble-rooski. We're talking about the flea flicker.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about we're going to mess up the formation here and make you think we're doing this.
Well, there was one game that I saw. You speaking of trick plays, and I forget. I want to say it might have been Louisiana Monroe or some offhand college like that down in the South.
Is it one of those where they shift the entire line over?
No, this was one which was much sneakier than that. They're set, and the quarterback's, making the call, and all of a sudden the quarterback just stands up, and everybody else on the line just all of a sudden stands up, right? Mm-hmm. And he just, or I think just the quarterback stands up, and he's got the ball, but he stands up and he looks around and he starts walking across the line, and the other team stands up too because they think what's going on, but nobody has done anything. The ball has been placed in the quarterback's hands. So that's technically a snap.
I know the video you're talking
about.
about.
And he walks right through the defensive line and hauls ass down to the goal for a touchdown. And they're going, you can't do that. Oh, no, that's a touchdown.
I know the video you're talking about.
Yes.
It was like a JV high school football team.
I thought it was college.
And
anyway, yeah.
The center, he doesn't actually snap the ball to him. He just pulls the ball out in front of him and holds it over his head behind him. Mm-hmm. And the quarterback just takes the ball and just starts walking through the line. And the defense is just standing there like, what the hell's going on? And then once he gets past the linebackers, he's gone.
Yeah. And that's a trick play.
Auburn pulled kind of the same play. Well, not really kind of the same
play. Did they intend to do that? Was it an intentional trick play on Auburn's part, though? Did they intend to do that by substituting the punter? And then, were they trying to confuse Alabama?
I actually think they were. Because, I mean, if you think about it, you're in 4th and 4. You have no timeouts left. The way the defense has been playing, you don't really want to take a stab on 4th and 4 to pick it up, and you're too far out to get the field goal. But you don't want to give Waddle the opportunity to return it.
Oh, hell no.
So you're going to do anything you can to draw them off sides or anything to get a penalty to give yourself a first down so you can kneel it out.
What Saban's probably thinking is, and I'm sure they know this, I'm sure they've done their research on the opposing players and what they played in high school and that sort of thing. A lot of your punters are good quarterbacks or former quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Your place kickers are always a quarterback. So you don't know who on this team unless you've really done your homework, and I would think Saban does. He probably thinks, hey, this guy is walking onto the field as a punter, but if he gets the ball in his hands, somebody can throw. He may have a cannon for an arm.
Mm-hmm.
And, you got to be on guard for that sort of stuff. And there's the confusion going on there, and they couldn't get Waddle off the field because Waddle thought he was supposed to still be on the field.
Yeah.
So, I can understand. I see where Coach Saban is saying that it was a bit unfair.
It was unfair that we got tricked.
Yeah, that's pretty much my take on it, too. It was unfair that we got tricked. Dirty bastards. Roll Tide.
So the next gripe that he had was, and this one is just a little bit hypocritical, I think, of Saban. So it's right at halftime, and Auburn gets a first down. They blow the play dead with a second left on the clock. And, of course, you get a first down. The chains move.
Right.
Once the chains are set and the official blows the whistle, the clock starts running again. Well, the officials called a timeout to review the replay to make sure that there was time left on the clock.
Right.
Alabama fans are complaining. Nick Saban was complaining in his interview going into the locker room at halftime. Well, that shouldn't have happened, and you need at least 3 seconds on the clock to be able to snap the ball off after a first down and blah, 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 blah. Well, no, an official replay counts as an official timeout.
Correct.
And nothing in the rule book states that the official has to stand and hover over the ball and blow the clock and then move out of the way. It's really at the official's discretion, if I'm not mistaken, when to blow the clock to start running. If he wants, while the replay is being reviewed, Gus already knows what's happening. He's calling for the 1 second. He knows he's going to get it. He's already getting his kick team out on the field and getting them lined up. And there's nothing in the rule book that says you can't do that either.
No.
So if you've got as much as half a second is enough because you have to react. The guy running the clock has to react to the referee waving his arm to signal the clock.
Right. There's a second or a tenth of a second or a half of a second or whatever. But here's the thing. Once the ball snapped, doesn't matter if it's 3 seconds or 1 second. Once the ball is snapped, the ball's in play.
Yeah.
It's not over until the play completes.
Exactly.
It can last 30 seconds. It doesn't matter. You can run all over the damn field, and I've seen that before.
Oh, yeah.
In many, you pass the ball here. The clock has expired.
Yeah.
But it's not over until the play is over.
But it's still a live ball.
Until the ball is dead, until someone gets tackled, fumbled, whatever, that ball's still in play, and the play is still going. It can go as long as it wants to. And I think maybe this was in someone's mind as well. But yeah, Nick wanted the 3 seconds. So I mean,
yeah, Nick was a little bit pissed off because Auburn got their 1 second and snapped the ball off in time and nailed a 52-yard field goal to cut Alabama's lead to 4 points.
True.
Not only do we score on 1 second, we also score on Alabama's 1 second.
We can analyze this over and over and over again, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of second guessing, a lot of analyzing, a lot of if, and we should have. At the end of the day, I don't think the officiating was perfect, but I don't think there's any game where, well, there are, but there's very few games where the officiating is perfect. Because officials are human.
Yeah.
Okay. That said, we were at Jordan Hare, and I don't know. I think I saw some orange and blue on a couple of the officials' undershirts or something. I don't know. Underneath that black and white stripe, I saw some orange and blue a couple of times.
And I think I saw some crimson and white under a couple of them as well.
Yeah, it depends on who paid who. Obviously Gus pays his refs better than we pay ours. So I don't know.
Oh, man. So, but, yeah, overall, it was a great ball game. For the most part, the officials did let them play. There was a little bit of shoving and stuff. Officials had to come in and break some stuff up.
That's heat of the moment kind of stuff.
Yeah, heat of the moment kind of stuff. But overall, it was a great ball game. Both teams played their asses off.
It wasn't one-sided. I hate, even as a Crimson Tide fan, I'm not a big fan of one-sided games. I mean,
well, y'all should stop playing sugar teams during your schedule.
Oh, you didn't really? All right, okay.
Now, I will say this about Saban in this article. He does go on to say, this wasn't Mac Jones' fault. It wasn't Joe Bulovas' fault.
He took the blame. He took all the blame.
Well, no, he put the blame on the team as a whole for 13 penalties that amounted to 96 yards.
But he said in one of his he said, I should have prepared them better. It's my job to prepare them better. My job to get them ready, blah, blah, blah. And he took a little bit of he took some blame for that. But yes, the penalties is what killed the Crimson Tide.
Yeah, that and the fact
we were our own worst nightmare.
Yeah, that and the fact that Mac Jones was the best quarterback on Auburn's defense.
Yeah, I knew this broadcast was going to be hell. Thanks a lot.
I can't help it.
I know. Enjoy it. Enjoy it for 364 days. All right.
This is a quote from Saban. The disappointing thing to me was the idea that we came here to play with a lot of discipline, not get a lot of penalties. Do a great job of executing and doing our job on a consistent basis. I don't think we did that great. We got too many penalties and put ourselves in a lot of bad situations.
There's a fucking astute observation, Coach Saban.
No shit, Sherlock.
Wow, yeah. I don't think we did a great job. Well, I don't know. The 13 penalties was the first clue, but
I've never I don't think I've ever heard a coach during a post-game interview after they lose a game come out and say, we did our best. We did everything we could. They generally say, no, we made a lot of mistakes. The other team, they played great. Both teams played great. We just made more mistakes than the other team.
Well, the only thing is this time everybody's saying the same thing. Y'all made a lot of mistakes.
They did.
And there's no denying that. And like I said, he's going to be analyzing this game film forever and ever. And he's probably going to find mistakes that they made that we don't even realize. Internal things that happened to the team that missed opportunities, missed assignments on especially on our defense. And that's one of the things that killed us. Our defense has been struggling all year, and you guys just had a great defense.
Yeah. If you look at the stats on paper, you throw the scoreboard out. You just look at the stats on paper.
We should have won.
Alabama had 28 first downs. Auburn had 23. Alabama was 6 for 14 on third down efficiency. Alabama was 5 for 13. Fourth down efficiency, Alabama was 2-2. Auburn never got really into a fourth down situation where we actually had to go for it because we know trick plays to. All right.
And you pay your refs really well.
I'm done. Okay. 515 total yards for Alabama to Auburn's 354. 335 passing, 173 for Auburn, and 180 for Alabama, 181 for Auburn rushing.
But that's the tale of the tape.
Yes.
And if you look at the numbers, yes, we were the better team and we performed better. But then you throw in the penalties.
13 penalties for Alabama for 96 yards. Auburn had 9 penalties for 60. Alabama had 2 turnovers, both of which resulted in touchdowns for Auburn's defense. You had 1 pick six that was for like 30-something yards, and then you had a 100-yard return pick six.
Yes.
And then Auburn had a turnover that Alabama couldn't really – I don't think Alabama did anything with that. I think they went 3 and out right after they got it.
Yeah. We missed opportunities. You get a turnover, then you got to – it's a turnover, but you've got to take advantage of it.
You have to capitalize on it.
Exactly.
At the very least, if you get a field goal.
Yeah. We didn't do that. And field goal. You had to go there, didn't you? Yeah, getting a field goal for us is problematic at best.
I will say this:
6-5 and pick them whether or not we're going to make it.
I will say this: up until Alabama's last drive, he had made every field goal attempt and every extra point attempt And when I saw him come out on the field for that final field goal attempt at, what was the 37-yard field goal attempt, I was a little bit nervous. Shit, they might actually tie this up. Oh, damn, nope, there's typical Alabama kicker right there.
Yeah.
So
when he hit the left upright, I thought, okay, it's going to bounce off into, but in between, it's going to bounce between the goalposts, but it didn't. It got too much of the upright. And in honesty, when I knew we were going for the field goal, I said, "Oh God, no, we're not. We're not going to do this." And I thought to myself, he's going to miss. And I hate to say that. I was hoping for the best, but I was really expecting the worst, simply because it's the Iron Bowl, Jordan-Hare Stadium, and we've struggled. Our special teams have struggled all year long.
Mm-hmm. So.
And as I said before, I don't understand why we get these 5-star recruits as far as, quarterbacks and linebackers and running backs and wide receivers, and we can't get a damn kicker.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
because y'all don't look for them.
Is there a soccer player out there somewhere that can punt the thing 100 yards? And I've seen a footage of this kid, this high school kid, that religiously has made 54-yarders all season long in the game. Not just in practice, not just when someone's videotaping for YouTube, but that when they have actually been in a game. The one I'm thinking about is right before they went in at the halftime, it's like, what the hell? We're 54 yards out. Bring him in. Let's let him kick. And he booted it right down the middle. Sign that kid.
With extra distance.
Sign that kid. Sign him now.
So, but, again, it was a great ball game, great weekend overall for college football, and yeah, I'm looking forward to what the rest of the season has to hold. So now I know you're excited because we finally get to talk politics again. Your favorite subject. I know you've been dying to do it. So,
well, yeah, politics. It's not my favorite subject, but just one that I'm knowledgeable about and one that I enjoy talking about. And there's so much going on right now.
There is. So the very first thing, and we're not going to touch on this a whole lot just because there's not really a whole lot to cover, but New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg just announced his candidacy for the presidency last week, I think it was.
Yep.
I don't see it. I don't see it going very far.
If you're looking at having a war chest, okay, the man is a billionaire. He has $54.7 billion. That's his net worth, okay. His wealth encompasses Trump considerably.
Well,
we think. We really don't know because Trump won't release his tax returns. But anyway, he has a considerable war chest. He's pledged to spend at least $105 million of his own money in the campaign. But that said, I don't think there's enough money out there to get past.
Yeah, I mean,
some of the things that he said in the past.
He might want to consider holding on to that $100 and some odd million because he might need it in the near future. So back in 2013, when New York was going through the whole thing about the health crisis, and
it was his last year's mayor. Actually.
Yes, they were looking at banning the large capacity supersized drinks, right, sodas, all this shit. He actually said during an interview, I think it was with NBC, said during an appearance with NBC, the government has the right to infringe on your freedom. Well,
the government does infringe on your freedom, and and here's why. Okay, he wanted to keep people from drinking the large size soft drinks, which is their right to do so because the high fructose corn syrup, it made obesity, it causes health problems, which is a drain and strain on health care. Okay, and people said you're infringing on our rights. Well, what do insurance companies do? You have to wear a seatbelt. It's a law in almost every state in the country that you have to wear a seatbelt or you get a ticket. What are they doing but infringing on your rights? And why are they doing that? Because insurance companies don't like having to pay out for people flying through a windshield or being thrown from a car. Insurance companies don't like having to pay out. Okay, the thing is with the Slurpee thing or the large size drinks or whatever, no medical insurance is paying. No insurance companies are paying out on that. They just don't care. Yeah. They just won't cover you. You can just die. You can die of obesity, but they'll have to pay because of the coverage on cars. So the government's already infringing on our rights. But yeah, Bloomberg has shot himself in the foot right out of the gate.
Yeah, because, I mean, if you think about it, and this was the exact quote that he said, I do think there are certain times we should infringe on your freedom. Like you just said, insurance companies, wear your seatbelt, or, because...
Helmets.
Motorcycle helments.
Right, motorcycle helmets. A lot of jurisdictions make you wear helmets.
Yeah. But, here's the thing about it. We're talking about at the federal level. Mm-hmm. This is the man wanting to run for the presidency. If he thinks the government has the right to infringe on people's liberties and freedoms, to say stop them from telling the 16-year-old behind the counter at McDonald's, yes, I would like to supersize that. Mm-hmm. What's to stop him from saying, no, you can't have that 60-round magazine for your AR-15?
That would be the National Rifle Association.
Well, yes.
You see, and here's the thing. The gun control, as I've said before, is being able to hit your target while it's moving from 100 yards. That's my idea of gun control. But gun control is never going to happen. It's just not going to happen because of the Second Amendment. Where's your what? Second, 8th, 10th, 15th, 30th, whatever amendment right? It's not 30 minutes, but where's your constitutional right to be obese? It's in the inherent right. One of your inherent freedoms,
just life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness.
The right to be, as Justice Brandeis once said, to be let alone.
Yeah.
I want to die of obesity, that's my business. But now, if I want to die of a cocaine overdose, I can't do that because it's against the law, because somebody has said that that's bad. If I want to smoke pot until I'm comatose or whatever, I don't know if that's possible, but if you, well, actually, I do know that it is. But anyway, if you want to smoke weed until you drive 10 miles an hour down the interstate and get run over by a transfer truck, that should be your right? Well, no, not really, because in some states, most states, smoking marijuana is still illegal. Now, the government has a right to infringe upon your right to do cocaine, to get drunk and drive a car. So how is it that they can't infringe upon your right to take an AK-47 and shoot somebody?
Well,
this is a hypothetical question.
It is.
The government already infringes on our rights every day in many ways.
Well, there's nothing in the Constitution that says you have the right to do narcotic drugs or anything like that. No,
but the new state of Georgia back in I think 1789 or somewhere along in there. One of the states back when we were ratifying the Constitution said, one of the members of the delegation said, if we enumerate these rights on paper, who is to say that 200 years from now, some fool won't say that these are the only rights that we have? And he was exactly right. Yeah. Once you put them down and codify them, people think those are the only rights you have. But there's natural rights. There's natural laws. And, if you want it, I see fat people every day. I'm getting there myself, but it's Thanksgiving.
I drink a lot of beer.
Yeah, exactly. And if you want your liver to fall out of your body because you drink beer all the time, there's nothing to stop you from doing that. But you can't get in a car while you're drunk and kill somebody else. That's the thing. You're destroying your life. You can't destroy somebody else's in the process.
Right.
Now, Bloomberg said that infringing on people's rights, on people's liberties. He as a candidate, as a political candidate, you just can't say that.
No.
He should have said, well, they do it every day anyway. We're just going to make it so that it's not a drain on our public health system.
Yeah.
But that's not what he said. And I think his candidacy is, I don't think because of that, but I really don't think that Bloomberg getting in this late after all the debates is a serious contender.
I don't either.
That said, nobody thought Donald Trump was a serious contender either. Nobody did. Everybody thought that he was an egomaniacal, which he is, and a lot of people really thought he was just postulating, getting ready to lose, and he would use this on the next season of The Apprentice.
Well,
and then he won.
The two previous times before when he ran,
it was a joke.
It was a joke. To the American people, it was a joke. It may not have been to him, but he probably realized, I really don't have a dog in this race.
But then it became the lesser of two evils, as we've said before on this broadcast. Do I vote for Donald or do I vote for Hillary? And many people were faced with that dilemma when they went into the voting booth.
Yeah. Which
evil do I choose? The one that's going to kill me or the one that is going to screw up the country? You can argue, or we can argue all day long, whether he's done good for the country, whether he's done bad for the country. I think some things are good. I think some things are bad.
Well, every politician. I mean, every politician going all the way back to George Washington, every president going all the way back to George Washington has done good things for the country and has done bad things for the country.
Well, yeah, depending on which side of the aisle you're on, depending on which side of which issue that you're on.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there were a lot of people that thought Abraham Lincoln was, not such a good man for freeing the slaves.
Well, true. Well, also, and here's the thing. I think there's probably about 300 members of the House of Representatives that think that President Trump has done a bad job, and they're getting ready to impeach him. Articles of impeachment should be. They're saying that it could be drawn up as soon as Christmas. Merry Christmas, Mr. President. You're impeached. A lot of people are confused about the process, and here's the thing. This was said by a political commentator earlier in the week. If you don't work in politics or study politics for a living, most people don't understand politics.
Right.
And I'm not despairing on anyone's education, but it's just politics is difficult to understand. You've got to go back and have a thorough understanding of philosophy and a lot of other things to understand where they're coming from. That said, a lot of politicians don't understand politics. A lot of people that are up there in the House and in the Senate don't know what the hell they're doing.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Yeah. If you think the Speaker of the House should be Bose, you probably have a problem. But anyway, that said, this goes back to something that I said earlier, is that more people understand the workings of our democracy and our American political system that are trying to become citizens than actual citizens do. Most people could not pass a citizenship test.
Yes,
they did a study, and it was pathetic. There were people who thought that Dwight Eisenhower was a general during Vietnam. There were people who thought that Robert E. Lee and Ulysses S. Grant fought in the Revolutionary War. I mean, the stupidity that some of these people wrote, the answers to some of the essay questions were a joke. And I looked at them and I thought, this has got to be parody. This can't be. No, this is really. There's a younger generation right now that does not have a clue in hell.
That's because the younger generation right now doesn't give two shits about when Eisenhower was president, when he was general of the army. They don't care.
Here's the thing: you can't live in the past. But if you don't observe the past, the lessons of the past, if you don't know who did what in the past, you're kind of screwing your future up. You're dooming your future. What's the saying? Those of us who fail to observe the lessons of the past are doomed to repeat them.
Yes.
Well, with that said, we're woefully inadequate in the area of an education with regards to the American political system, and a lot of that is, and a lot of people can disagree with me here and call bullshit, and that's fine. A lot of the people today that support President Trump are people who really don't have a grasp of the political system. They know they want change. They know that politicians, by and large, up in Washington are dishonest, and they are. And they know that they want the career politicians out and they want someone else in. But what they don't understand is sometimes you need to be careful what you wish for because you just might get it.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Yes, or Donald J. Trump. But, I mean, you want change, you get change, and sometimes it's not the change that you want. And what we have is we have a lot of politicians that don't know what they're doing, that don't understand the system for which they have been elected to. Okay?
Right.
And we have a lot of the voting populace who are what they once called the unenlightened masses. They know what they want, but they don't know what they're voting for. Okay, just because you want change, just because you want something different in the political reform, doesn't mean that you've got to have a knee-jerk reaction. Well, I'm going to vote for the first person in there that's going to change things. Yeah, but how are they going to change it? And right now, we've got a person in office that, by all intents and purposes, if you're looking at the evidence that's been presented so far, has abused his authority as the President of the United States. He's abused his position, his powerful position, the most powerful man in the world, and he has tried to affect political change in his own country by using a foreign power to investigate somebody in his own country. And they're using every means possible to deflect what is being done.
You know, I've not really been watching much of the impeachment stuff. I think it's more of a three-ring circus than anything. I think it's more
a little bit boring.
Well, it's not
how many different ways can you ask a damn question? I mean,
it's not even really so much that it's boring. I will say, if Trey Gowdy was there, it would definitely be a lot more entertaining. But, you know, that having been said, I think this is more of a ruse. I think it's just a few Democrats who have been pissed off ever since Donald Trump was elected because he was elected. I think it's a handful of Democrats who think he did wrong. And like I said, I think they're deflecting from something much bigger, like Epstein.
Oh, God, you had to go there. Man, come on. Give Epstein a break. He's dead already. Quit beating him.
And he didn't kill himself.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, he probably didn't. It was probably Hillary. I don't know. I didn't say that. If you're listening, Hillary, I was just kidding. I'm kidding around. I'm joking. It's not you.
I will say it, Hillary, you fucking killed him. Come find me.
Be careful what you wish for, kid. I'm serious. But that said, the three-ring circus that is the U.S. House of Representatives is probably going to draft articles of impeachment, if they haven't already, and serve them to the president right before Christmas. Now, everybody's complaining because they're saying that there was no due process. Due process does not come at a grand jury hearing nor at an impeachment hearing. Because this is why. When you're indicted for a crime in the world out here, any court of law, any jurisdiction, when you're indicted for a crime, there's a grand jury convened. It's 18 people that listen to one side of the story, the prosecutions. They don't get to hear that you're innocent. They get to hear what you did. They get to hear from the prosecution. Now, at your trial, you mount a defense and you bring in witnesses and you cross-examine and that's when you prove your innocence. That's when you assert your innocence. The grand jury, that's a grand jury hearing, and the impeachment process is much the same way. We're hearing all the evidence from all the witnesses that there may or may not be, from the whistleblower himself later on, whoever the hell that is, and then after all that is done, articles of impeachment are drawn up. That doesn't mean the president's removed. That just means now we're going to a trial before the Senate, and we pretty much know how that's going to end.
Right. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. We're running short on time here, so we're going to start wrapping things up here. Don't forget to go on Facebook, Two Beards Talking. Like us, follow us, interact with us. If you hate us, let us know.
Tell us we're full of shit. I don't care.
I don't care. I mean, and I'll tell you I don't care, but still, interact with us.
It's our opinion.
Yeah, it is. And also be sure to tune in on Tuesday nights for my show, 2AT, Second Amendment Talk with Rod Burks. We got a lot to discuss on that show as well. So
those of you who are country music fans, you can tune in to me Saturdays from noon to 6, Sundays from 6 to midnight, and Mondays from 7 to midnight on WQSB FM 105.1. You can find it, if you like great country music, you can find it at WQSB.com.
Excellent. Again, big shout out to the troops out there, men and women serving overseas on the home front. We appreciate everything you're doing for us. Hope you all had a lot to eat, got nice and full out there. And yeah, I got nothing else. Donnie, you got anything?
Nope. Next week, we're going to delve into politics a little bit more and a little less drubbing about the Crimson Tide. And I hope you enjoyed yourself today, Daniel.
Oh, I sure did. I'm going to enjoy it, like you said, for the next
364 days.
Yes. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. This has been Two Beards Talking. I'm Daniel Sanders.
And I'm DonnieJ.
Thanks for listening.